I popped mine because you said that you're mainly attracted to light-skinned women, and I have a big thing about the colorism thing with dating, so that's my thing.
I mean, it wasn't really colorism. It was just, I grew up, all the women in my family more light-skinned.
You're picking someone based on the shade of their skin. You have on a turtleneck, a Goodwill suit top, some sneakers, and these little baby pants with these patches on them, and you worried about a woman and what the color her skin is? Like, can you even reach these women?
It's coming.
Welcome to another episode of the That Scary with Melanie P podcast. I'm your girl, Melanie P, and we're here to have a conversation, y'all. Listen, I was looking at Instagram, and literally two of the most colorist things came up back to back, and I want to talk about this, y'all. I'm not gonna waste y'all time. Let's get into these clips, and I want to talk about this right here.
5'4", light skin, play softball. If you could build a boy, how would you build him?
6 foot, abs. You have to be light skin or brown skin.
If you could build a guy, how would you build him?
Dreads, a light skinned man preferably.
If you could build a girl, how would you build her?
Hispanic, a white girl, and a light skin.
If you could build a girl, how would you build her?
Curly hair, light skin, any type of skin. Okay. Voluptuous in the chest, in the back, in the thighs, slim in the middle, small legs, small feet that look like it can't support her body at all.
If you could build a girl, how would you build her?
5'1" to 5'4", 90 pounds to 110. Gotta have some couple tattoos, super pretty, and she don't know nobody.
Hey, if you could build a guy, how would you build him?
6'6", buff, 2 strands, gotta be darker than me. Or I could, a little light skin,
If you
Okay, and why did you pop this lady's balloon?
All my aunties, my grandma was light-skinned, so I think I'm more attracted to a lighter skin.
Light skin. Okay.
I think I'm more attracted to a lighter skin woman.
Damn.
Okay, so she's not your type.
I mean, she
Pop, pop, pippity pop, pop.
Why'd you pop yours?
I popped mine because you said that you're mainly attracted to light-skinned women, and I have a big thing about the colorism thing with dating, so that's my thing.
I mean, it wasn't really colorism. It was just, I grew up, all the women in my family more light-skinned, so I just see myself.
It's okay. But I appreciate you. I wish you the best.
What's up with her boobs?
For sure.
Okay, and why did you pop?
I think everyone has a type, so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But as a black woman from Kenya, I am a light-skinned woman, but I'm also Kenyan. And I think we shouldn't try to hold us in a place of light-skinned, dark-skinned. But you have a type, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I respect you in that. I'm just a Kenyan queen. I love all shades of black. Okay, King? May I shake your hand, King? All right.
I wouldn't even want to shake his hand. Ooh. I want to get some foot. I want to pause this where this man's outfit choice and how he looks shows up. Just for reference, this is no shade. I want to stop where I can see a full up top body of this man, this little short man. Lord, look at this. Can I zoom in? This is where I want to stop this. Let's look at this man. Let's look at this man, and I'll leave it there. Between this man and between these people, these young kids that are being interviewed, there is a obsession with wanting a lighter skin partner, whether it's a man or a woman, and I need to unpack that. Let's start with this dude since we're on this page now. Let's start with this dude. He literally is saying he's on a show to find a partner, right? All these shows are to find meaningful relationships, as we know. And he is not picking someone because of the color of their skin. Now, what does that sound like to you? Number one, you're on a show with a whole line of black princesses and queens, and you're gonna come on this show dressed like that and say that you don't want to date nobody who is in light skin. Why are you here? At this point, they need to find some type of show that is just based off the color and based off of like superficial, because this is ridiculous to me. I'm so glad that these women band together, as black women always do, and pop, pittity, pop, they balloon, sir, because you don't even deserve a black woman at this point. It's disgusting to me. Saying that because you were raised around your aunt and she was light skinned, you prefer to mate and marry and date a light skinned woman is so damn detrimental to the community. You can't even say it in a way that even makes a little bit of sense. Like, are you looking for your aunt? in women? Are you looking to marry and be with your family? This is such a big conversation because we always talk about the Black community, marriage, dating, the detriment, the numbers are not in our favor, and shit like this is why. You're picking someone based on the shade of their skin. Now you out here dressed like, what can I say that you're dressed like? Oh my God. You have on a turtleneck, a Goodwill suit top, some sneakers, and these little baby pants with these patches on them, and you worried about a woman and what the color of her skin is. Like, can you even reach these women? If you look at this footage, look at just him standing next to the host. You can't even reach these women, sir, without a freaking pedestal, without standing on something, and you're worried about their color. You're limiting your ability to find a partner based on the color of their skin. It sounds really racist. It sounds like you're like a white person and you're racist against Black people. I am just not here for it. The thing of it is that you can have a preference, and just like this comment says, preference is one thing, but to solely disregard someone due to their hue is definitely colorism, and I have to agree with this. Like, this is where that line blurs between preference and true self-hate. I'm not even going to say colorism. I'm going to say self-hate. This is giving that I hate what I see in the mirror. And imagine how he's treating women out here in the streets. He's a liability. He is dangerous out here in the streets. If you see him, he needs a picture that don't talk to this man because he's very dangerous. He's very dangerous to himself, to Black women, and to the community. You can prefer a certain thing. You know what I'm saying? For me personally, I don't really care how you look. I prefer how you act. I prefer your personality. I'm not looking at, oh my God, are you light skinned, dark skinned, tall, short? What is your energy? What is your personality? Like, these are the things that will cultivate long-term marriages and relationships, not are you lighter or darker than a paper bag? And we have to call it a thing as well. This is like the men. This is supposed to be the leaders of our community out here saying this racist 1932 shit on a 2025 TV show. This goes to show that your mentality isn't where it should be. Your morals, your brain, it's not there. Because for you, the self-hate is loud. For you to come on a Black show with Black women, and to say that you will only talk to somebody who is light skinned because your aunt is light skinned is just the most diabolical thing I've seen thus far today. It's crazy to me. And it screams that I don't like what I see in the mirror, because I don't look at this man and look at him as a light skinned man. I look at him as a brown skinned Black man who's about 5'4" with a size maybe 8 shoe, and with a Goodwill jacket on. I've seen him in Goodwill with a turtleneck, with a beard that has all these spots in them of like balding. And then you have on these jeans that don't even go together with this outfit, and you worried about the color of somebody's skin. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. It really gives self-hate. It makes me wonder, what have you experienced? Because here's the thing. I always like to see all the sides to situations. You know what I'm saying? What have you experienced in life? What type of trauma? What have you been through in life that makes you look at things through this morphed lens? Why are you a Black man on the street obsessed with the color of somebody's skin? You're a grown ass man out here wanting to find a wife, wanting to find a partner, and you have to obsess over the color of their skin whenever you're not even the color of the skin that you're wanting. So it makes me think, were you picked on? Were you bullied in school? What is it? What is it? And then here's the caveat to this, right? When you go to this other clip and you hear these people, both with a BOF, both young kids and both young women and young men, they're out here and they're saying that when they look for a partner, they want somebody to be light skinned. And that's crazy to me. And it's like, okay, these are kids, so I don't want to go in on their looks as much as I would like to. But at the end of the day, it's disgusting to me, and it makes me wonder.
I like the muscle mommies. Hard.
They had to hear this stuff somewhere. Because to me, I can't say colorism because I don't even feel educated enough on colorism to even talk about it. Right? I always say on the show that I don't feel like, as a brown skinned woman, I've ever really. I am not educated on colorism. I don't feel like I show up in a space and, oh my God, because I'm brown skin or dark skin or whatever you want to say. I'm comparing myself. I don't ever do that. Like, I'm not thinking about that. I don't feel like I've ever been judged for that personally, which is why I've always wanted someone to come on the show and kind of educate myself and the listeners on like what colorism truly is. However, to me, this is truly given like self-hate, because most of these people who are talking about wanting someone light skinned, they're not light skinned. And I'm quite certain that their family is not light skinned. So it's like, why are you saying that you want something that doesn't look like you, that doesn't look like what you were raised around? We have our resident call-in on the show, Riyan. Listen, so you said something to me recently in the most recent months that really stood out to me, right? Because I'm gonna insert your picture here on the screen, per usual. And you are a fair-skinned girl with green eyes, light skin, whatever the case might be. And you said something about how, showing up in society, green eyes, light skin, and you didn't see like representation of even like your hair on people who look like you on social media, on TV, whatever like that. So I want to get your thoughts on these young kids saying that, most of them saying that they want a light skinned partner. Now, how does that make you feel? What are your thoughts when you hear this? Is this what the streets are, the 18, 19, 20-year-olds, is this what the streets are saying?
Well, my initial opinion about this video is that I feel like it was purposefully curated this way because I am, as somebody who's 18, whatever, I'm around people my age. This is not the reality of what I see in person, especially for the girls that I know and what they want. This definitely dark-skinned men. But,
why do you think, but before you go on, why do you think they would curate this? Now, again, as you're saying that, it has me thinking like, obviously if you're out here in these streets asking people questions, you want something that's going to be content, like something that's going to go viral because it's just so outlandish. So why do you think that would be something that would be, something to put out here like this to go viral?
I feel like he purposely, because honestly, I feel like if you're asking all these like people, I'm assuming they're on a college campus about this, I know not every single person said light skin. That's just not even, that don't make any sense. So it was purposely curated to incite anger in people who I guess are darker skinned, or to make them maybe insecure, make them feel, because people, one thing I want to speak on before I continue is that a lot of people, especially on TikTok, are calling this thing the quote unquote great shift, because before COVID, before 2020, it was like it was never acceptable to be colorist, but it was, for some reason, I guess it was less talked about, and people just didn't care when they were called out on it. Because I feel like back when I was younger, I guess light skinned people, but mainly biracial light skinned women were desirable, and like green eyes. Cause a lot of people when I was younger expected for me to be mixed with something, and I'm mixed with black and black.
Period. So, black on the left, black on right.
Yeah, I'm not. There's no. Well, I mean, slavery wise, but real wise, there's no white in me, like in my lineage anytime soon. And so, I just feel like after the Great Shift, where people started to appreciate people who were of darker skin tones more publicly, and it was much more talked about. I feel like that was the Great Shift that people in my age group talk about. And so I feel like in this time after the Great Shift has happened, more people of all different shade ranges, especially darker skin people, are being more appreciated and not called whatever. He did this specific thing and putting light skin to make people think that, oh, in reality, people really want light skin, so they're just pretending they want dark skins, like maybe for like attention, or maybe for like cloud reviews, to say, oh yeah, I like dark women, to kind of separate themselves. But in reality, maybe they truly want somebody who's light skinned. But I don't think that's actual reality of what I see in my day-to-day life.
I have to agree with you on that, because even we're 20 years apart, even in my circle, nobody really prefers the light-skinned man. Now I could see where maybe I see a lot of colorism in terms of men wanting the light-skinned woman, and this dates back to slavery because of just how we have been programmed and how that has ran through the generations. Like, even my mom was saying whenever we interviewed, if you're lighter than a brown paper bag, then you're fine. Now what I want to dig in with you is, because again, you said that people just assume that you were biracial, and obviously you're not biracial. Like, how did that impact you in any kind of way? Like, real talk, did you ever feel like you had preferential treatment because of how you showed up? Like, do you feel like you had any hates amongst your peers because of how you showed up? Is that a thing?
I mean, nowadays, I understand the effects of it for me today, presently, but at the time, uncoincidentally, most of my best friends, younger up until about almost now, they were dark skinned. Like, was it intentional? No, but that's just what it was. That's just what it was.
Right.
And so back in, especially elementary school, most of our elementary school teachers were white women, Southern white women. And so they would, even though my friend group of like, usually it was a trio of 3 black girls, I was like the lightest person the lightest person in the group. They would pick on us, like not pick on us, but like call us out, even if their favorite white student is doing something we're doing, we're gonna get called out before they get called out about something. But when it came down to our group specifically, I remember specifically like the darker skinned people in our friend group would always be called out the most. They'd have the quote unquote attitude, or they'd be sassy, they'd have an attitude. But me, out of that group, I would be considered the quote unquote favorite.
Oh my God.
But, yeah.
In terms of how your peers, male and female, treated you, do you feel like there was any kind of preferential or negative treatment from just your peers in school?
Well, I feel like this may not be the best come for me because I've always been a pretty awkward person. So that's that. But I definitely like on male attention wise, I feel like definitely back when I was like for my age group, I got more quote unquote male attention. Back when I was like after the quote unquote great shift, and honestly after the great shift, I felt more insecure myself because like back when I was younger, when I was getting quote unquote male attention from boys my age, it kind of was like, well, aside from me being light skinned and having green eyes, and you assuming that I'm mixed with white, am I just like,
wow,
is that all I am? And
so you
is
think
that all that I am?
Yeah. So you think the boys were basically validating this clip? Some of the boys back then were coming at you just because you were light skinned with green eyes.
Yeah, and then once it was like something, it'd be like because a lot of people who are just pretty, and even like people who are in the media who are just light skinned, and people think, oh, she's just there because she's light skinned. They usually have no personality because all they have to use is like they're light skinned and they're biracial or whatever.
Jesus.
And because in my opinion, I actually have a personality, I feel like people would just like, I guess not. I guess be put off or whatever because like I'm not just somebody who was pretty or whatever.
We can agree that I do think that this clip from this guy was probably curated just to specifically show the people who did say light skin, just to kind of perpetuate a narrative that, oh, everybody wants somebody light skin, when it's probably truly the opposite.
When it comes to males, I feel like in my opinion, males are more colorist than women, in my opinion, and I feel like that's taught. As he said, he grew up around light-skinned people or whatever. But I feel like that's taught at home because, personally, as somebody, y'all know my mom is dark-skinned. Oh my gosh. But I wasn't taught that I'm better than anybody. I didn't even know what colorism was until the Queen Najee, if y'all didn't know who that is, situation happened where people were calling her colors. I didn't know what that was, and that's when I watched a whole hour-long video about it in that situation. And that's when that's when I figured out what it was, and it kind of was like, to me, it's kind of like I've never thought I was better than anybody for being light skinned. It never really stuck out to me. I mean, I guess I noticed that I may have got treated better, but I don't know. I've always been like I don't know.
Yeah.
So
sorry, go ahead.
And so I just feel like that's taught. It's taught at home. And it may be by like their father or their mother, or if their mother. I know there's some situations where people have darker skinned mothers who may have or may instill in their child that it's better to be light skinned, or like, because I know there's certain people who try to bleach their skin to get as light as possible, even though it don't really work.
Right.
But they try to bleach their skin to get lighter, and they may be teaching that to their son, like, oh, it's better to be lighter, whatever.
Yeah, I think you made a good point there in terms of how you were raised. I will never forget, and I hope they don't watch this episode, but I'll never forget when I was probably like, I must have been in middle school, and I'm not going to say who I was around, but I was around somebody in my family, and we were in a Roses or something. I'm not even sure what the hell we were doing, and they were older than me, and I remember this light-skinned teenager, because we were young, had came up to around us, and I literally must have been in middle school, maybe even elementary school, but I know I was super young, and I remember like these girls I was around who was in my family saying, oh, he fine, and he light skinned, and I'll never forget hearing that and these are dark skinned Black women, and I will never forget hearing them at such a young age emphasize the fact that, oh, he fine and he light skinned, oh, he like they was just really going OD because he was light skinned. And like you said, I was never raised to look at like color or to think that better or worse based on your color. So here, those type of things, hearing those type of things when you leave the household and, based on how you was raised, that kind of stuff stays a little bit imprinted in your head, because it's like, girl, like, first of all, we're all dark skinned women, and you going up for a light skinned dude, and he literally was a light skinned dude, I think with green eyes. And I never forget the emphasis that these dark skinned family members of mine put on the fact that he was light skinned, and it was so gross to me. You know what? Which might be why I'm so much Sister Soldier out here, because I'm like, I was embarrassed for y'all at such a young age to be putting your own self down, because to me, when you put another color up based on the color of their skin, and the color of their skin don't look like yours or your mama or your daddy, then to me it's giving self-hate. And I said earlier on the show, it's like, I don't look at this as colorism, only because I'm just not educated on what colorism truly is. I just feel like I haven't been the kind of person who I can honestly say has been treated unfairly because I'm a dark-skinned woman, or, I go into a room and I see a light-skinned woman and now I feel like I'm less than that. Honey, it ain't never gave that. So at the end of the day, like, when I hear dark-skinned black women or black men say stuff like that against dark-skinned black men or dark-skinned black women, it truly exudes self-hate. And again, in closing, it truly goes to how you were raised, because if you were raised to, even if you overhear your parents or overhear your cousins or whoever talking about, oh, he light skinned, or oh, she light skinned, that kind of stuff, it kind of lingers with you, because it's like, well, what are they saying? Like, why are they saying that with this type of tone? Like, what is it? What is this giving right now? So again, I wasn't raised that way. You were not raised that way. So I think for us, it's just like, it's weird, and it stands out as something so gross. But for a lot of people, that's what they hear. That's what they hear growing up, and so they mimic that when they get older, and it's sick. It's very, very sick.
I'm just happy I wasn't raised that way, because to me, that's just it's like disgusting.
It
like,
is disgusting.
In my opinion, it's disgusting. It's like I don't know if it's hypocritical, because I prefer like, I
what? Hold on, wait. What did you say? All I heard was mumbles. You prefer what?
I prefer someone darker than me.
Now, hold on. Let's stay there right quick, because again, let me ask you this, because a lot of light-skinned people prefer dark-skinned partners, and I just wonder what is that given? Again, you're kind of young, you're 18, about to be 19, but it's like, I just wonder why.
Well, it's just not it's not appealing to me. It's just not appealing to me. Like, and just like, honestly, I feel like, and especially in like middle school stuff, I feel like how light-skinned boys act and how dark-skinned boys acted in my school were just so completely different. I feel like it's even like,
wait, hold on. Go ahead.
Oh my god, it's like the dark-skinned boys in my school acted more, I guess, like a boy,
more masculine.
Like, yeah, and I feel like a lot of the light-skinned boys were more like, I'm not gonna say feminine, but more like jokey, and like they make like the gay jokes to be funny, and it's just like, I remember specifically this one person. I don't know if I'm saying, but this one boy in particular, a lot of people just thought he was gay because he would consistently make gay jokes. Boys didn't really want to be around him and stuff like that. Back when I was in middle school and stuff. And so it's stuff like that. So when I look at somebody who's light skinned, and then I'm friends with somebody who's like, who kind of acts like that, and there's like gay allegations against him and stuff. So it's like, I don't look at that, and I don't find that appealing.
See, and that's a whole nother topic that we can veer off on, because I was literally talking to somebody about this morning, and I remember my mom said something to me. Again, my mama, your grandmother, she born in the 40s, so she has a very different outlook and view on life. And she was saying, she made a comment that I can't remember the exact wording, but she said that light-skinned men who, something like light-skinned men be like, they tend to like, they abuse alcohol, and this is awful. I mean, again, my mama is about to be 80 years old, but she was like, they be abusing alcohol, and they turn very evil when they're drunk. And again, this is somebody who was born into 46, born in the 40s, whatever. But then there's also this whole thing kind of that goes along with what you're saying, is that and I can't think of the way people say it, but they be like, light-skinned men are very soft. You know what I'm saying? Like they're very soft, and which is horrible to say, but it's very common for someone to say that, oh, this light-skinned dude, like, oh, he acting real light-skinned. You know what I'm saying? And that's stuff that we say within our community. And it's crazy for you to even be feeling that way. Generations behind me saying that, you know, it appears that the dark-skinned young boys even show up more masculine than the light-skinned boys in school. So again, we'll have to probably dig into that on another show, because that's actually very interesting to talk about. But you know, it's neither here nor there. Riyan, thanks so much for joining the show. We're always glad to have you. And make sure you send me a picture, unless you want to use that same picture as last time.
Same picture.
All right. I have to continue recording, so have a great afternoon.
You too. Bye, guys.
Ew. So yeah, I mean, it's just really interesting to listen to, you know, what I went through, how I experienced life in terms of color, shades of color. So you have three different perspectives here. You have my mom, born in the 40s and born in the Jim Crow era. You have me, born in the 80s and living life in this century. And then you have my daughter, who is coming up and, you know, 18, 19 years old, and it's three different experiences, but they all kind of align when it comes to, you know, colorism. Needless to say, these clips of these black men, and I have to say this, Riyan brought up a really good point about this clip here. I do think that this was curated to only show, you know, you can edit this stuff, and I think that this was edited just to show the people who said they prefer the light skin, because it's not really given that in real life. And then as it pertains to this pop the balloon debacle, I mean, self-hate. To me, self-hate at an all-time high. And it's just for you to get on this platform and to say this, looking like how you look, to get on this platform and say that is just really disgusting. And it's so detrimental to our community. And I will say, as a black man, supposed to be the head, the leader of our community, this is very off-putting. I think you need to do some work on yourself. I think you need to go to therapy. I think you need to try to identify why you have this level of self-hate for yourself, and then come back and try to do a do-over, child, because this is embarrassing for you and your mama and your family. At the end of the day, y'all, let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts on these clips, and I'll see you in the next episode.